Yes. Very good evening to one and all present here. I think I'm audible to I'm audible to all you people. So please put your mic on mute. Yes. Thank you all. Yes, so happy evening and welcome to this wonderful session that is a kickstart for research, kickstart ER research. Okay, so it's about a research oriented program. Okay, so most of our people here are, I hope, all our faculty members from various universities. Okay, so we need to upgrade ourselves as a faculty member, as a how to say, so as a teacher into a researcher. Okay, so research plays an important role nowadays. Okay? So I hope this session will be more useful for you people, and I welcome Dr. Shivani Johri from Maharana Pratap University, Rajasthan. So ma'am has a wonderful experience in research areas. Okay, so I just want to thank her for joining this wonderful session. So I hope this session will be very useful for you people, and it's over to Shivani ma'am. Ma'am, you can go ahead.
Good evening, one and all. I, Shivani Johri, is presenting a webinar on how to kickstart your research, and I would like to thank the Research Board, Department of Information and Technology, Rathinam Technical Campus, and Mr. Praveen for cooperating me to have me on the board. So, I'm just starting my slides that how to kickstart your research. First of all, what is research? We have to understand that. Second slide, Praveen sir. Yes, what you will learn in this webinar. So in this webinar, you are just going to learn that what is research, how it is performed, what is a research structure from tip to toe, what is the process, where to start, what to start, when to finish, and how to get the desired result. So how to learn the basic elements of research design, how to do literature survey, how to derive meaning from the data, how to have a work plan, and how to publish your research. I have put some slides for the publication, as many of us don't know that how to publish our paper, where to publish our paper, our research work. Next slide, sir. So, what is a research? It is a systematic and strategical planning to obtain an objective which is useful for the society, basically. Research actually requires a clear articulation of the goal. It is a process. It is not a destination. It is a complete journey. When a person gets into the research process, he or she must know that the research is not a destination. It is a complete process till the end of your life. So reaching the goal requires strategy, and the strategical planning to obtain an objective is basically research. I just come across, next slide, sir. I come across a quote of Albert Einstein that if we knew what we were doing, it wouldn't be called a research, would it? So Albert Einstein, as we know him very well, he said that research is not a process which we are known about. We can just make some steps, do some procedure, and follow some process to get the desired results, which is very beneficial for the society and as well as for any institution or ourselves. It is a progress. It is a process of progress to complete the research ahead. So next slide, sir. What is the process of research? I must say that it is an invention or a discovery or initializing some aspects to the end. it is the process of research. 5-step research planning is there. That the process is initiated with a question or a problem. If we have a problem, then we have a solution. So for getting that problem, we have to do some work, some brainstorming sessions, and then we come to get any question or a problem which is arising from some kind of research work or some kind of survey work. Second step is to find the goal and objective, which deals with the question or problem, and we have to get some answers from that. In between, I would like to interrupt and say that many of us are faculties from the various universities. Many of us are planning to do PhD. Many of us are doing the research work, and many of us can be the scholars who have done research so well. So all of them must be known about one thing, that for in the academic purpose, whether it's from the medical sciences, whether it's from the commerce side, whether it's from the engineering aspects, the research
Hello, Shivani ma'am. Hello.
question can be arrived from your mind. Question can be arrived from conversation with your seniors, your advisors, from the literature survey, from the online content. Various kind of process are there to select a question. But the first thing is selecting a question. I will give an to gather the information. I have included some kind of publishing journals ahead in the future slides, that how to gather the information from the relevant sources. Relevant sources can be you just cannot go through the internet and put some and sources and put the results from there, or can get some information from there. No, not at all. You have to be peculiar, you have to be specific about the things you are working on, and what are the journals or the prestigious institutions which are giving the information, right information, then to include it in your thesis. Now, evaluating and validating the online content. The online content, online, as we know, the internet is very wide and everyone is a netizen nowadays. So evaluating those contents and validating those contents are most important part, that whether we are getting up the right content or the wrong content or the false interpretation we are taking from the internet. So it is the most important process, that what we are taking from online and how it can be validated. Now, organizing and analyzing information, this is the most bigger task in your during your thesis, that how to organize those content, those data, and how to analyze the information. Next, determining an appropriate presentation. Who present and be expressive what he or she has done throughout 3 or 4 years in the research is the most important part, so that the external can get you the maximum marks or can understand what the research process is. Now, I'm coming up the next slide. These are the steps for scientific research. As we are doing the scientific research, as I'm from the electrical engineering background, I must say that I would like to take some examples from electrical as well. So I think you guys must be aware of your interest areas. So please go through the general steps of scientific research and find out what are the interest area, how you can select the topic, and how can be the results, how can results be achieved. So these are the steps. First step is selection of the area. Selection of the area means you may be from the engineering side, you may from the medical science, you may from the mechanical engineering or civil. Next step is selection of the topic. What topic you are going to select? Topic can be a vast and a vivacious thing. Topic can be of from I can say in electrical engineering background, topic can be from electrical machines, or topic can be from HVDC. But topic doesn't mean that you are going to have that question. So making the question, making the objective is most important part and the most prior part of a scientific research. Next, crude research question. After selection of topic, you are going to have crude research question. You're not going to have exact question. Everyone of us is a researcher, but everyone doesn't have all the knowledge of that topic or that area. So you are having a crude research question, or you can have a set of research questions from selection of topic. Now, when you got a crude research question or number of crude research questions, I must suggest that you should go for some literature review or literature survey. What is that? For example, you have chosen a topic from power electronics that you can have boost converters. So this is the selection of topic, boost converters. Now some of the question arises from boost converters, that how it works, how it can be the cost efficient one, how the harmonics and ripples can be reduced, how we can use it in with the artificial intelligence. So these are the crude research questions you are getting. Then do the literature review. Literature review is complete process which we are going to have in the further slides. And in that literature review, you are going to get that what you were thinking is right or wrong, what you were thinking is getting your answers or not, what you are thinking has already been done, is going to be load. So after literature review, if the your answers are found, then there is no need for studying further and have that scientific research or literature review. But if you don't get any answers, then if you do not get any answers from the literature review, so you have to go for refined research question. Okay, so after not getting any answer, the refined research question is arrived. So this is a research question which will help you to get some objective. Research question and objective are two different things. How it is different? Research question is you are asking yourself, wow, how it can be done. And when you suggest or select some kind of procedure, then the objective is a part which can be used as a title or topic. Research hypothesis, as I will tell you in the future slides, that research hypothesis is you are planning in your mind and your paper and through the literature survey that whether this strategy will work for further for achieving my goals and objective, for achieving my results. Maybe it is right and maybe it cannot work. So this is just the hypothesis. You are just thinking about it. You are just planning to have that strategy. So we have to make some hypothesis that yes, I'm going to do work like this. Now, research design. So research design is a process which is given by your advisors or your seniors, or university would have a format that we are not accepting the case studies, we are not accepting the review kind of thing, we are not accepting this, we are accepting this. So research design is a very individualistic kind of thing, which is very specific and depends on many factors. So after research design, we have to understand that some ethical issues are there. Research design. After research design, sir, move further. After research design, we have to have some ethical issues. These are the ethical issues or the things which we have to keep in mind when we are doing our research work. So after research design, we are going to select some research tools. Research tool is a vast topic It is a wide range topic in which every engineering department, every medical department, every finance department in which research are going to be done, researches are going to be done, have so many tools for themselves to present, to analyze, to finalize, to display the results. So these research tools are a very vast topic, and for different streams, research tools are quite different. For information and technology, it can be different. For computer science, so these are the tools which are very helpful in doing our research and publish it. Now, work plan. Work plan is a process in which we are going to have a basic idea about the starting and the finishing of our thesis along with the time spans. Collection of data, as we have to collect data from online and the reliable sources. Then we have to manage the data, and finally interpretation and analysis of results, and then we come up to reporting or compiling our thesis. And the last process is how to publish it in a very reputed journals. Next slide, please. Yes, selection of the research area. I must suggest to students that they should select the research area based on the following points. First is speciality. For example, a student in the engineering department and an engineering college will learn about approximately 48 subjects. In those 48 subjects, one should have a specialty in particular subject. You are not going to have and take look on your marks that I have got so much marks in this subject, so I should go for that. No, in which you have your interest, you have your speciality, you have your concepts and roots very strong, so you can go for that special particular subject in which future emerges can be seen. Now, individualistic topic, yes, everyone has to be individual. Like if my seniors has suggested this, or my friend is doing that topic, so I'm going to have that topic. No, not at all. Everyone has different structure of their study process, different structure of their thinking process of doing things, doing research. So one should have an individual topic. Interest area and specialty is the same thing, but still we can understand that interest area can be a wide topic in which you can select some topics and questions, objectives. Scientific background, yes, most important thing, that scientific background of a research kind of thing is should be taken in account, because in scientific background sometimes we suggest or we select some kind of topics which have a vast scientific background, and a lot more has been done in that topic. So there is so less opportunities to work on certain topics or to work on certain things. So we have to see that the unexplored things can only be a part of your research. So never go for copying something from the background. You just have to look, you just have to understand what has been done and what you are going to do. Now next is experience. Yes, if you are having any kind of laboratory experience in some topics or some subjects, and you are very comfortable with that and you are very aware of that, go for that topic in research, so that you can get help from research tools very well. Now we have to see that whether it is the actual need for research in this area, or whether I'm doing it for impressing or for just because it is a hot topic nowadays. So student has to take this in account, that there should be a need for research in this area. Now the recent challenges can help you to get a particular research area and find out the research gap. I just suggest that limit your genus. That means you have to take a research gap between, if you are taking 10 years of paper on a particular research area, then you have to find that in 2017 this has been done, 2019 this has been done, and in 2018 nothing has been done. Plus we have that in both researches many gap is there, which a loophole is there where I can put my step over. So find out that research gap, but it should not be an open-ended research. It should be a close-end research, close-end kind of questions and areas should be there. For example, power electronics, electrical machines, HVDC, artificial intelligence. These are all the type of research areas. And wireless network, securities, database management system is, I think, from the software sides. Next slide, please. That is about the research area selection. Now the research topic has following points. So we all can understand the following point, that it should be cost effective, because research is done by a single person. You are not going to have 2 or 3 persons in a group like BTech and doing the project and sharing the money. So you have to be cost effective. The result should be applicable to the society. It should not be forged or it should not be plagiarized. And these are the points one can be aware of, that everything in this research topic, you have to understand that you are finding a solution to the problem, not copying or not putting anything which has already been done. For example, reduction of harmonics and ripple in buck boost converter is the oldest topic. I just suggested it, that I want to do some work in buck boost converter, so I'm just reducing the harmonics and ripple. Some can do it, make it cost effective. Some can do it and interface with artificial intelligence technique. So these are the things which we can do, but the basic area is buck boost converter, and we are doing as many as researches on that particular topic. Next topic, please. Yes, this is the research topic. We have to understand that first of the basic thing, that research is not a predefined thing. It is a pack of assumption, limitations, manipulations, achievements, failures, analytical and logical conclusion. So it's not everyone cup of tea, but the determination can have a researcher to make it progress and be a developed one. So some kind of methods which we are talking about in the research methods. So first is basic research. Basic research is, you are just collecting the knowledge, you are just having the knowledge from various kind of sources, and you're just taking into account that yes, after 6 months I'm going to have my PhD, so I'm just doing the basic research about my branch, about my research areas. Next is applied research. From the diagram we can see it, applied research is based on subject matter knowledge and problem solving thing. Kind of, you have find some kind of problem and you are doing applied research on it, that how a cost of something can be reduced, how neural network can be a part of my cloud computing area, how the machine learning is effective in some kind of process in medicines. So these kind of things, which is applied research. Quantitative and qualitative research is, quantitative research is a kind of survey or kind of case studies in which numbers are counted, variables and a lot more readings and measurements are counted. And qualitative research is that in which we have to understand that when and how the things are going to be happen, why this is going to be happen. We are going to be stressed on that, how the quality of particular research depends on a lot more variable things. Descriptive and exploratory. Descriptive type of research method is to describe accurately the characteristic of particular individual situation or an object. Exploratory means we are going to explore or discover or invent new thing. Exploratory research methods generally used for patents. If anybody is doing to explore something and to derive something which has not been derived earlier, so generally people are doing exploratory research methods to get the patents. Yes, next slide please. Yes, research question. I just want you to have a look on the research question, that students should know that research question is a brainstorming process. You should have some mental analysis, that yes, it has no answer in the literature. No one can judge it by common sense. So is it authentic? It should be clear and specific. Okay, so for example, what techniques will be effective for reduction in harmonics? As I have already told you in the earlier slide, that how the reduction in harmonics can be done, and now the research question is what techniques will be effective for reduction in harmonics. That means a lot many students are there who are using different techniques, so one question can have 10 research objectives. So for example, what are the more efficient interfacing devices? So there are many kind of interfacing devices, and if there are 10 kind of interfacing devices, one should have 10 objectives, 10 research thesis. Next slide, please. Yes, literature review. So yes, this picture exactly seems to be a part of your PhD, that how a literature review can be done. But I just suggest you one thing which I have done, and I'm very much comfortable in that particular kind of survey process which I have done. I go through, for example, we have to put some, we have to get some research papers from IEEE or from different kind of journals and conferences, transactions. So that research paper which we are getting from internet, so just gather those articles on the basis of topic of your interest. For example, I was doing a PhD on wind energy. So I just come up with the topic wind energy. Wind energy has some bifurcation, that how much efficient it is, how many kind of power electronic devices we are using, how many type of fault right throws are there, how the protection can be done, how the stability of wind turbines can be achieved. So these are 5 or 6 topics, subtopics of my PhD, which I have to make in literature review. So just gather articles on the topic of interest, then bifurcate it in the various kind of subtopics. Now, after bifurcating it in the subtopics, just open it and put your papers according to the years, or either put them up or write 2015, 2016, 2017, 18, 19, 20, and select the right click and put it at ascending mode. So that you will get from, if you are doing something from last 20 years, then you will come up to get from 2000 to 2020, you are going to get those papers of a particular topic. So what you will going to have in your PC or in your laptop, you have to get you are going to have a particular folder in which subtopics are there, and in those subtopics year wise research papers are there, in which you can easily have a review papers. If 10 subfolders are there, 10 review papers can be generated from that, so that from 20 years of the progress in that particular topic, you can read, you can write, and you can easily compile those subjects for the data collection. So next slide, please. This is the literature review. So students are very much confused about the literature survey or literature review. So it is very easy kind of thing if you are going in the right way. So we just have to search the topic on the internet, make a list for that, then write that how many things you have done, how many topics you are having, from how much from how many years you have been doing that, and then you have to learn that what those 10 years or 20-year papers are going to tell you. So the purpose of literature review is the contribution which it is giving, to take any gaps. If there is any gap between researches, like I'm not going to say that 2018 has done something, 2020 has done something, and 2019 hasn't done something. No, you have to see that if 2 papers are published in the same year or in the different years, whether they are applicability of the results have some gap in that, or some interpretations have gap in that. So you have to search that gap, research gap, and get something out of that. So we also can study that some studies have contradictory kind of things in the literature survey. So and so author has suggested that, so and so author has suggested this. So when you will come and read the literature survey, you will definitely get some contradiction, and those contradictions can be a source of your research question as well. So one's original work, place one's original work. Take some research paper from the authentic journals, authentic conferences and transactions, so you will get to have some original work for the literature review. Next slide, please. Yes, this is the writing literature process. In writing literature, it would be the second chapter of your thesis. The first chapter is of the introduction. The second chapter is of for the literature survey, and when you are doing this literature survey, you are automatically making or preparing for second chapter of your thesis of the PhD basically, or MTech. So masters and PhD would have second chapter of literature survey. In basically, I'm talking about the engineering backgrounds. So three things are there in literature. The first one is introduction, the second is body, and third is conclusion. In introduction, we have to just put up the topics and use it in what are the trends, what has been done, what criteria can be used to improve something. And in the body, we are going to have that research study and summarize individual study and put some name over there. Yes, literature review is basically all the author's name should be referenced and cited for the literature survey. If you are taking that, yes, Shivani Johri has done this in this year, so you have to quote something in that also. So this kind of the body you have to prepare. You can also see some literature review, literature survey from the PhD thesis, which is already available on the internet. And at last, you are going to conclude those literature survey that I have understood this. These are the major contributions of the authors. This is the thing which are the loopholes or the research gap. And this conclusion somehow holds a basic question about your future research also. Next slide, please. Yes, these are the objectives. Objective is different from the research question. As I've already told you, objective is basically the answer of the research question. So there are two types of objective. One is which is you bound to be achieved, and second is by the way. So in that case, how we can understand that if anybody is doing research, anybody is doing the literature survey, he or she found that yes, something is going to be done with particular HVDC system, or I have to put some fuzzy logic controller or some PSO technique, and then I would get more stable results. This is the things which you are bound to achieve. Your objective will tell in the title itself. But the secondary thing is, secondary objective, by the way, during the things you are doing with your PSO or fuzzy logic controller or the artificial neural network techniques in your topic, if you are doing the work for the stability only, but in that case, sometimes the voltage and the angle or magnitude profiles also get improved by chance. Because if you are doing anything good with that particular topic, with that particular experiment you are doing, so some things will quite progress or develop or modify during your research process. So in that case, we understand that secondary objectives sometimes can be achieved by the way. So it is closely related to the research question. You have to be very peculiar that I'm asking that, and this is the objective, this is the answer of my question. Objective and goal is two different things. Goal is to achieve that thing, and objective is to include that particular process in how you are going to achieve that particular thing. So these are the points we have to understand about the objectives. I'm not taking so much time, but still you have to understand one important thing, that in objective there is or the title, we are going to have some kind of words like to describe, to identify, to measure, to compare, to analyze, to achieve, to reduce. All these things are basically a part of objective. So for example, to overcome the load balancing problem using weight-based scheme in cloud computing. Cloud computing is a part of computer science, I guess. So in that case, if you are using weight-based scheme and to overcome load balancing problem, you are using this scheme in the cloud computing. So overcome, to reduce, to get. So these are the things which these are the words which which should be used in objective to find the solution. Next slide, please. Yes, objective. Some student, I have gone through so many MTech thesis I have guided so many MTech thesis and gone through so many PhD thesis that people used to write a very complex kind of objective, so that one who is even connected with that particular stream is not going to get that what the thesis is all about. So a smart objective should be specific, it should be measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. You should not go for analysis of buck boost converter. No, analysis of buck boost converter or analysis of any kind of for example cyclo converter or anything is not a time bound thing, is not relevant, as analysis can be of a lot more types. So you have to understand that it can be relevant. Analysis of a buck boost converter is not a topic. Analysis of a buck boost converters under balance condition or something like that, which is measurable, which is achievable, and which is time bound. Do the literature survey, just pick 5, 10, 20 years of papers, not beyond that, because a lot more has to be studied in research and you could get lost in that case also. So the smart objective is that point which reflect your work from the front page of your thesis or the research work, which can be a very impressive kind of thing for the external, for the observer, and for the people who cite your work. Next. Yes, next step is to get research hypothesis. I must say that engineering, during engineering backgrounds, we are not going to have some research hypothesis. Generally, we are not going to have, because hypothesis is a statement which is in the measurable form, that whether the things can happen or cannot be happen. But in the engineering background, generally engineers do invent, do discover, or I can say do initialize something. So hypothesis is basically research hypothesis kind of things are a part of some universities from different backgrounds and engineering. So it is not to be haphazard guesses, but it should reflect the depth of knowledge, imagination, and the even experience of the investigator, that yes, you have done so many researches on that and you have surveyed a thing which could be helpful in getting your research objective. For example, the research, next question, next slide. The research question is, what effect does daily use of social media have on the attention span of under 16s? So it is a basic research question, and objective is to find out those effects clearly and have analysis of one effect. But the hypothesis is not exactly the objective or not exactly the goal. He's just answering the question open-endedly, like there is a negative correlation between time spent on social media and attention span in under 16s. This is the research hypothesis, that we are answering the question, but it is not a smart objective. We are doing the things, but it cannot be a thing that we will definitely achieve that. No, we are going to achieve that is a process of research hypothesis. Next slide, please. Yes, selection of research design. Research design, I must say that it is a basically process of steps that should be taken and in the sequence. It is a research design basically depends upon time spans also. And second thing, research design is also a interpreted or implied as that how you are doing your work in various manners. So a student of the same university is doing some kind of case studies and all. Some students are doing research survey. and some students are inventing something in the laboratory or doing some hardware kind of thing. So everybody has different research designs. They might use the research process and the research thesis as from the outside. You can see that the research thesis will definitely look same as for all the 4 students, but the research designs, their working process, their steps differs a lot. Each design can rely on one or more data collection technique. Means we can have it from the experimental things, we can have it from the earlier papers, we can have it from any software or the online sources. So these are the research design. I must say that 4 kind of research design we are going to have in the sectional design. Next slide, please. Next slide, sir. Yes, few designs. I request Praveen sir to click on next slide, please. Yeah, few designs are there. So the first one is the cross-sectional design. Cross-sectional design basically use weak together data. For example, US Census. So the cross-section designs are basically depends on many variables, but the disadvantage of this design is increased chances of errors and cost. So second one is the longitudinal design. Longitudinal designs collect data over long periods of time. Means you are going to have some research from 10 or 20 years back. And third one is time series design. Time series design collect data on same variable at regular intervals. Now, a short-term future forecasting is the example of time series design. Now, panel design is repeated measurement for some same kind of people or objects. This is the panel design. So various kind of researches has been done. We cannot think that all the 4 designs compiles to same result. All the 4 designs have same kind of efforts. No, not so. Every student have different analytical logical mind. He or she can use any of the 4 design and work in a particular that design fashion. Next slide is to have what are the research ethics. Research ethics are basically, what are the research ethics? Ethics are always important to have in your life. You have some family ethics, you have some work ethics, what you are doing in some academics and work ethics are, I'm not going to take more than 3 lectures in a day. These are my ethics. I have to do some research work. I have to teach students very well. So I have to prepare my lectures for 2 hours. So I'm not going to take lectures for more than 2 hours, 1 hour or 3 hours. These are work ethics which we made in our lives. So such kind of ethics and research are also there. The first, before research, we have to understand that we have to have a clear research plan. We have done honest literature review. I must say that a lot people are not doing the literature review so seriously, so that they are going to have problem in 3rd chapter or 4th chapter. They are going to have such kind of results which cannot be interpreted or which cannot be understood by the student itself. So I just suggest go through the literature review, have some papers, put it in boxes of different topics, or if you are taking the printout, then mark with different color pens and have some set of paper in which you are going to understand each and everything. Each and everything means if any equation is there in the paper, please do understand that by hook or by crook, because it is only what you are going to do and what you are doing. And after research, you have to publicize the research work which is for societal benefit, and use reference management software. What is the reference management software? It is also known as bibliographic management software and citation management software. These kind of softwares are available online too, in which is authors use for recording and utilizing the citations or the referencing system. For example, Mendeley is there, RefRock is there. So we can have such kind of software software for referencing and using that management for referencing system. Next is research tools. What are the research tools? Research tools are those tools which you, for example, I think we are not everybody very carefully, but I just want to add a basic thing. If we are going to cook food, then during cook we have to use various tools. We have to have a lighter for the gas, for lighting. We have to have some vessels. We have to have some knives and all. So these are the tools which help us to make our food. Similarly, research tools are those tools which help us to make our research easier, make our research to do well. For example, information gathering tools are there. Read, write, things, note taker is there. Google spreadsheet is there. Evernote, Instapaper. These are all examples for different kind of engineering branches. Maybe some of you cannot be aware of them, or some of you cannot connect to them, but that doesn't matter a lot, because you just have to understand that for presentation, for analysis, for display, for referencing, for everything in your PhD thesis of any branch, from whether it is finance, whether it is HR, whether you are doing this in medical sciences, you have to have some research, a set of research tools. For example, in presentation, you are all of you, maximum of us are using Microsoft Office setup, but nowadays Prezi, Voki is used as research tools, which is more efficient, which can be used for some kind of official presentations and all. Display devices is DSO, MSO. Power quality analyzers are there, power quality meters are there. In software we can understand that Python is, I think, suitable for computer sciences. Then NumPy is a software, Scilab is a software, PSCAD, MATLAB is a software for analysis, for doing work on what we are doing in the research. For referencing, Ref and Write is a software. For writing thesis, LaTeX is a software in which the research paper can be written in that particular format. Like if we are going to publish the papers in IEEE, so what we do, we are going and typing in the Word and doing the things over there, like we are just copying the format from the IEEE website and making each and every word according to that. But the LaTeX is a software in which already these formats are available. You just have to understand that software. You just have to put your data in that software, and that software converts that particular thing into your desired format. So these are the research tool which we can use. Next slide, please. This is the work plan. And I must say that I'm just going to give this presentation in a very professional manner, or you are listening it in a professional manner, but I just want to say you that please go through the work plan very seriously. Every student has made this research work plan earlier with a very energy, with very jest. And yes, I'm going to do this in 2014. I'm going to do this in 15. I'm going to do this in April 2015. But if we see that what people are doing, people are not doing the things in 2015 even, which has to be done in 2014. So we have to understand that what we are planning to work, what we are having a plan. So please go through that research work plan honestly. Otherwise, you will never know that your span would be extended up to the time you have not even imagined. So some people are doing PhD for 6 years, 7 years. Some people has done it in 3 years. Or maybe possible that in the 3 years, some has worked very hard. Or maybe possible that some people haven't go through that research work plan. Because research work plan is not a thing which should be made on paper only. It should be made in your mind, and you have to stick that very disciplined. So this is the work plan, which is a schedule chart or graph that summarize the different components of a research project and how they will be implemented in a particular way with a specific time spent. Please stick to the time spent for your research. Otherwise, you will go to an open-ended research and you will not come up with the desired results also. Now, next topic is data gathering. Data gathering, yes. People are gathering data from the thesis of nowadays. I must say that not everyone is doing, but I'm going to through some of my students' work. So what they used to do, they put some thesis, earlier thesis, and have some data from that, and put a chart and make it, this is the topics we are going to have them. No, data gathering has two process only. You can get through some PhD thesis for the formats, for the process, but you cannot go through the thesis for that particular, you cannot apply the same techniques from the earlier PhD thesis or the PhD work. So the data gathering can be from two types, that is from the qualitative data collection tools, and second is quantitative data collection tools. Qualitative data collection tool, again, that what is a process? It is a process of qualitative research. You have to get some in-depth interviews. You have to get through some online forums, web survey chats, some online communities, and get that how the things are going to be happen. So these are the things in which we can have the data gathering process in qualitative. In quantitative, you just can go through face to face with your advisors and all. You can have some online kind of thing. You may talk to on phone, you can get through mails. And I just suggest you for data gathering, I must suggest you that after this presentation, you must go through some of the authors of your interest area and contact them on, whether on LinkedIn you can contact, you can mail them, and have some kind of access from the Google scholarly articles from them. For example, in my particular area, the Frede Blackzerb is the author which is doing a very great job over series of time. So I just contacted him in person, and I'm getting all the topics which he is doing recently in my mail, and I'm going to get all the latest researches done by him through mail. So this is the process you can also do, so that you can get more updated. Yes, the second thing is that you have to be updated every now and then. For that, you have to subscribe some of the newsletters from your areas of interest, which are going to publish the things in a month or quarterly or half yearly, so that you can get what is going around the world in last 3 months or last 1 month or last 6 months. So this is also a process of data gathering, because when you are going to submit your thesis, the first chapter, introduction, which contains all the things from years, means you have started into 2018, so you are just pointing out the data from 2018, but you are going to submit it in 2021, then you are already giving the data back from 3 years. So just don't get the old data, be updated and gather data on the regular basis for your chapters. Next slide, please. Yes. What is data processing and analysis? First point is describe demographics of the area. Demographic is basically independent variable which cannot be changed or manipulated. Means you have to understand that the data, some data are there in, for example, if I'm talking about IEEE 14 bus system, then some data are continuously stuck in that particular, they have given some demographics or some data which cannot be manipulated. You have to take those data as your reference values. So first of all, we have to understand that when we are processing the data, the demographics of the data should be described, that what we are going to take. Some students used to take all the ratings and all the things from the IEEE site, and when we are going to ask that from where you got this data, so they have no answers. So please go through the demographics, and which cannot be manipulated, which cannot be changed. Now compare the behavior. Yes, if applicable. if you are doing some kind of if you are doing some kind of exploration in a topic where already some things has been done and you are doing something comparatively same, then compare the behavior of these two. For example, I'm for the same system I'm using artificial intelligence, and for the same system I'm using a particular old controller like PI controller. So I just have to compare both the results for that data processing and analysis. Choose appropriate statistical technique. Yes, don't do the things that he or she is using fuzzy logic controller, so I'm going to get this. No, just use the technique which suited to your circuit, which is suited to your schematic, which is suited to your experimental uh, kind of thing. Look for the patterns in data. You have to look the patterns in data, that whether these patterns are designed in the same fashion or in the different fashions, whether I have to put it in the results, whether I have to discard them from the results. So this is all the data processing and analysis which is to be done in third and fourth chapter. In the third chapter, you are going to do the modeling. In the fourth chapter, you are going to do the data processing technique. And in the fifth chapter, basically I'm just doing the fifth, sixth, third, fourth chapter as according to my university pattern. The fifth chapter is this, the third chapter is this. So basically what happened, the first chapter is introduction, the second is literature survey, the third is materials and methods, the four are the simulation results, fifth are the experimental results, and the sixth is the conclusion. But every university or every advisor or every group of researchers in an institution have a different kind of pattern. They can use a bit they can differentiate the fourth or fifth chapter, they can combine fifth, sixth chapter. It doesn't mean anything, the steps remains the same, just the bifurcation of the chapters can be different. So in interpreting the results, what we are going to do, we have to find the result, what we get, and what that findings or results mean. Are these findings consistent with the previous research, or do they counter the previous findings? Sometimes what you are getting can be contradicting to the earlier one, but you have to be confident that yes, you are right. And if you are doing some mistake, effort again and find out the error and then correct it. Do not restate content from the background. I just suggest one thing, that for making the thesis bulky, or your advisor has suggested you to make 200 pages or 250 pages or 100 pages. So what we are doing, we are just putting the data from earlier chapters or earlier research papers. So that doesn't help you either. This is only put theory as much as it is required. Not at all. In the result chapter, I just suggest put the theory about the result, or in for expressing the result values, nothing else to do with that. And focus on the points of comparison that bear on the findings. Yes, comparisons are generally required. It is not mandatory, but comparisons show that what has been done before and what you are doing, and how you are very well doing in that particular area, and why you are progressive in that particular research topic from the earlier author or the researcher. Next, the important point and the last point, after your thesis has been compiled, after your reporting, these all things, publications is the most important thing which we have to understand. I just added some slides for the publication because the students are not very much aware. They used to publish here and there their original research, and then get confused in the publication process. So first of all, we have to understand that what is original research article. Articles can be review articles, research articles, survey articles, many kind of things. But from the PhD research or from the research work, basically two types of articles can be evolved. The first one is research article, what you have done, what are your results. You are just taking that original research into a form of paper. So that research article or that research thing is your complete thesis in some 10, 8, 20 pages. This is the your original research article. Second, you can also go with the review article. Every publishing house is not going to accept the review article, but the review article is can be made from the second chapter, As for the literature survey, we can have 20 years of papers, we can have 10 years of paper, we can put some topic like cost effectiveness and research it from the till 2001 to 2020. Authors has suggested this and this. You have to read them out and put it in your language. That is also a review paper, which can be review article, which can be used for publications. So some universities has a mandatory 3 original research articles has to be published in Scopus or SCI, or some are having 2, some are having 4. So this is all about your university in which you are doing the research. Then original research articles are primary sources of new scientific knowledge and literature and particular outcome of a original person who is thinking like who is not thinking like other persons. Like what I am doing may be possible that you are also doing the same kind of or a similar kind of thing. So I'm going to have a title. You can also going to have such title in your mind. So title should be highlighted in such way that the things which are newer to the researcher or the observer should be there. Next slide, please. What do the original research article do? Sometimes people used to say, what is the research? Why do I publish my research article? First of all, you are also taking a lot benefit from the literature survey earlier. You are also opening your mind to new and the various dimensions for the research from the literature survey. That literature survey is comprised of a lot more original research articles which you are reading. So we are doing just a research for the society as well, or for the future generations as well, for the people who want to research and serve the society in different manner. So this is the basic result, basic thing which we have to understand, that what our original research articles do. So these are the some points which we can understand, that it reports a new discovery, it proposes new theory, it already shed a light on already published topic. Original research articles may introduce the original and the new research or idea or finding. This idea can be utilized for patents as well in your further research after your PhD. When you do your PhD, it can be useful in your PDF also. It can be used for your students as well, and they can use this research article for their patent generation also. Next slide. Before writing an article, what to be remembered? They just have these slides and the further 4-5 slides very seriously, as the papers or the articles we are going to publish have a vast area of platforms for publishing. Students are not aware what we are going to do. So first is the thing, select an appropriate journal for the publication. Some students who are not very comfortable with what they have done, what they have written, can go for a simple conference in the first step. Don't go for any kind of journal. And if they think, yes, I can do, then they can also go for transaction. Then they can go for the journal. Select an appropriate journal. I have suggested some process for getting the appropriate journal for the publication, so you can understand it well in the further slides. Read the instruction and the guidelines of the journal. Some papers, some manuscripts has been rejected a lot of times in the journals due to not complete formatting and all. You are writing to publish your research finding and not to impress anyone. Yes, understand that you are writing to publish your research findings. Be in the format. Don't try to impress anyone. Don't use the complex and the tedious words or the long sentences in the article. Remember, 2 or 3 experts, including editor of the journal, will read. Means there is a peer reviewer community in the journal section. So they will review your journal. They will review your article for the journal. They will find whether it is worthy for their journal or not. They can also have some kind of comments on your paper or the article. They can have some kind of revision. They want some correction. So first of all, don't get bothered with the criticism of editor, reviewer, anyone, or the expert. Just they are trying to help you to get more out of it and more fruitful article from that. So just don't get their criticism. Prepare a checklist before uploading the final manuscript. When you are going to get the manuscript published, then please go through the some points and make a list and then tick them that whether you have done all the things or not. Okay, and select and give names of possible reviewers. The last line is, do not give all Indian referees. So I just suggest that it is about, we are in India, so I'm just suggesting do not give all the Indian referees. But if you are from any country, so I just suggest you that please don't go for that particular country itself. Have a broad area of research network, make a broad area. Next slide, please. This is the most important slide during the publication. Yes. You have to understand that impact factor. What is impact factor? You must have getting a lot of mails that impact factor of this journal is so and so, please publish in this. Impact factor of journal is so and so. So just we have to have an idea that what is impact factor and how it affect the our selection criteria for the journal. Impact factor is of journals. First of all, impact factor itself means that how much impactful is that particular journal. Now impact factor is used for SCI journals as well, and for Scopus index, CiteScore is used. I will just help you out with all the classifications, but first of all we have to understand that what is impact factor. We can see here the formula that impact factor, if I have to find impact factor for 2017, then the total number of citation of that particular journal. For example, there is a journal called Nature. Okay, so that journal which is named as Nature has impact factor of 41. How it can be counted? Citation in that particular year upon publications of plus publication of 2016 and publication of 2015. So this is the formula to get impact factor, and in that calculation I would get 41.577. That means 41.577 is impact factor of that particular journal, and I just suggest you that it is a very high impact factor. So one should know that whether his or her research paper or article is in the format or is in the form to be published by such kind of publications or not. Generally what happen, it get revised in 1 year or 2 years. Range of field is different. In medical it can be 40 to 50. In Nature is a I think it is a journal of medical sciences as well. Range of the field is different. From medical it is from 40 to 50, and for engineering more than 3 is quite good, I can say. I'm not suggesting that more than 3 is always applicable, but it is on the value of your research also. If you have done tremendous research work, then I must say that you can go for impact factor more than 7 or 8 in engineering field. So in mathematics it can be 2 or 3 for just these kind of impact factor ranges is there. So impact factor is not a thing which one should know that yes, I have to submit in impact factor 4, impact factor 5. No, just go through your work, just put down the keywords and find out whether the journals which you are going to compare, so the journals you are comparing, and choose a particular journal with a great or good impact factor. Next slide is how to select best journal to publish. Yes, in next slide I'm going to have that how the what is the indexing and what is the process. I just want you to suggest that first of all understand what is the indexing. Indexing in the research means you are going to have separate keywords, separate kind of fields, and these indexes, ranking indexes, defines that which particular journal is prestigious journal, reputed journal, which has a greater access, which have a great number of scholars connected, which is a highest impact, and these kind of things are the used in ranking index. So first of all, 3 steps are there to select the best journal to publish. The first one is check journal ranking indices, that you have to check particular ranking indices of the journal. So 3 types of things which we can understand that. One is Scopus index generally, in which SIMAGO ranking is considered. The second one is SCI journals, in which impact factor is considered. And third thing, we have to understand that what is the site score of the journals. So what are the process? The SIMAGO ranking is generally given by some Spanish universities, and for SCI journals, impact factor is used. If any journal is SCI indexed, then you have to understand that you have to see for impact factor, that whether the impact factor is useful for your publication or not. If you are suggesting the Scopus index journal, then you can go for SIMAGO ranking, that SIMAGO ranking is finally good for not. If you are going for Scopus, then site score is also useful. Site score is average citation from last 3 years, means last 3 years. If we are going to have site score for 2020, then we can go for 2020, 2019, 2018 divided by 3. Then you will get the site score for that particular journal. So just check the journal ranking indices. The first step is to have this, means first step is to find whether you want to publish in a Scopus index or a SCI index, and you have to understand that in the Scopus index or the SCI index, these are the ranking indices which you have to understand. Now I must say that the Scopus index and the Scopus journals are the elsewhere generated journals, and the SCI journals are generated by ISI, Institute of Scientific Information, and is generated and owned by Thomson Reuters. Now site score is to determine the site score. It depends on the number of citations. The first step, I think you must have cleared with the first step. Second step is to decide domain. Yes, students who are not very much aware that where to publish have just to see 2 types of journals are there. One is non-index journal, one is index journal. Non-index journal has no indexing from the Scopus or SCI. They are of 2 types, paid and unpaid. You must go for unpaid if you are doing basic research work, if you are having a review paper, if you are not have done such kind of research which is very, very useful. So you just can go for non-index journal, but for the unpaid one, I just suggest you that try not to go for non-index journals. But still, if you are not very confident with your papers and all, so you can suggest, I suggest you to go through non-index. Scopus journal, second is SCI. In a Scopus journal, 3 types of segments are there. That one is unpaid, means if you are an author, you don't have to pay anything, and the receiver have to subscribe it and pay for it. The Scopus has 3 types of publications. The first is unpaid, in which you don't have to pay anything for the process, and the author is going to have subscription for that journal and going to have some articles from that journal. Second is open access, paid. In that case, you have to pay, and the authors or the people who want to see your article can openly access it. And second is unpaid. In unpaid case, you are not going to pay anything, and it can be openly accessed, means without paying any kind of cost, it can be openly accessed by the people outside. Second is SCI journal. Third is selection of journal. Now, some people have confusion that so many journals are there. Just go through the 2 links. The first one is Scopus index journal list, and second is SCI journal list, if you're not going for the non-indexing one. So for going for the SCI journal list, you just have to use Control F and press your keywords. Likewise, you are doing work on renewable energy, or you are working on materials, or you are working on cloud computing, or you are working of Internet of Things. So just type the keyword over there. you will find name of the journals having those keywords and having those points. So those are the journals in the Scopus list and the SCI list. You decide whether you are going for SCI or whether you are going to have a Scopus kind of journals. So on that journal, you have to click, or you have to put that journal name, name of that journal on the left side of the journal is there, which you can understand that whether this journal is fruitful for me, whether this journal is reputed or not. Next is check the remaining credential, that whether it is useful for your research area or not. I just request Praveen sir to go to the previous slide, and students have to visit that. On this slide, we have a small diagram, that diagram which is showing you very scholarly persons connected to them. So you have to understand that reviewers are good, citations would be better, and what is there that particular journal is prestigious or not, how it can be accessed, what is the impact or the impact factor, and the average time to publish. Sometimes the journals who are working very well take 4 to 6 months in publishing your article, and at the end of the PhD or in the research work is people want to get published very soon. So you just have to visit that average time to publish also. What is the quality of reproduction and acceptance? Yes, every one of us has do want that our paper has to be, our article has to be published and accepted easily. So this is the process that you can select the best journal for the publication. Next slide, please. For research article, this is the process, and this is the very easy process. I think we already have done with the, if we have already done with the thesis or the PhD research work, you can easily draft and research paper. So purpose and audience are the things. What are the purpose of your article? What kind of audience you want to visit it, and pre-write it. Pre-write it means I just suggest you that don't go for any kind of formatting for initially. You just go with your work initially and then draft, then revise again, and then again draft. It is a cycling, and I just suggest you that please give your paper to some reliable one, senior or your advisor, to proofread and to make correction in that, at least 2 or 3, so that you would get to come that what are the errors you are doing constantly, then edit and then publish. This is a very simple technique for paper publishing. Next point. Yes, this is the these are the important points for reviewing your paper. We have to understand these points. I think you must have read all of these earlier, but still I want to mention some of the points, not all the points, as we are running out of time, I guess. So just have that does the title reflect accurately the content of paper? As we have already discussed that the objective should be SMART objective. So if the objective of the thesis is SMART, then the title of your research paper can also be a SMART kind of research title. So you have to go for a particular specific title, short and sweet. Next is, does the introduction begin with the big issue? So you have to write an abstract in starting for your research paper. Your abstract will show that what you have done. You have to put a big issue initially and then to narrow it down with your particular research work. Like you have to give people an idea about that students, that everybody of us has very big issue for this kind of thing, and I am doing it with so much easy technique, and I'm making it so many simple. I'm removing the complications. So your abstract will definitely express those kind of things. Does the introduction locate the study effectively? And does the introduction highlight a gap that the research fill? Already the audience will be of same stream. So they have also read the earlier papers along with yours. So they must know, they are very specific about the things that already the research gap is there, and once you have put that research gap filled or not. Does the introduction end with a clear statement of the aim or the hypothesis? Are the methods including statistical analysis, appropriate circuits? The methods and materials and methods are the heart of your thesis. So the materials and method chapter should be written in such a way that after some time, if you have to make it compact and you have to make it in the research article, it is quite easy. So do the result provide answers to the questions? Are the result presented in a logical order? These are the basic things that you have to review your paper upon. Next slide, please. Yes, I must say that whether you are using the abbreviations or the tables or the figures or the diagrams, circuit, schematics, these are, some people, what they do, they put some schematics or some kind of diagrams from the internet or some literature and put exactly same point as schematic as in the research paper. Some blocks are even not needed in that. So I just suggest you that if you are doing, draw it yourself and remove the unwanted one, add the wanted one, then the your things can be clear. In the tables and the figures, some people has so many lengthy tables that so many numerical datas are there, and one has not able to understand that what is the objective and what a student tries to figure out. So these are the things which we are aware of, the figures and the tables. So, and does the discussion begin with the reference? I must suggest you one more thing, that references are the most important thing which you are using. Use the references, use the research papers which are at a very prestigious, in a very prestigious journal, at a very accepted level. So just go with that reference in the starting, that this author has done this and I'm going to have this further. Are the appropriate statements made about the wider significance of the results, their limitations or their implications? Does the paper end with the appropriate concluding paragraphs or the section? Yes. Sometimes the thesis and the research and the article writing becomes so tedious and complicated that at the end the energy become so less, and what people used to do, they used to just end up with just compiling it with more pressure and doing concluding it in very bad manner. So I just suggest you that the conclusion should be in a manner that after ending the thesis or the article, one person must feel accomplished, whether when he or she is writing it, and one who is reading it must finish with a complete statement. These are some next points. Next slide, please. The list of references should be complete. I must suggest that 3 types of references or the citations or bibliographies. You are using 3 types of words in the end. In that case, the references or the bibliography or citation, these 3 are the different thing. References bibliography is very general thing. References contain some argument, and citation is very peculiar about the date of the event, the author name, everything which is in the citations. So these are all the things where the abstract should be in the word limit. You should not make abstract so lengthy that people are not going to read your abstract even. And are the selected keywords are there. So keywords are the most important thing which are used, which can be used in research area. Now this is the method which already I have suggested you. Your title, your abstract, your keywords are the things which attract the researcher, that whether the paper is useful for their research area or their research interest or not. Introduction, methods, results and discussion. Acknowledgement, if you want to acknowledge someone or something, references, and then supplementary material. If you want to add some supplementary material in the form of an appendix or something, you can add. This is a process of research article writing. For acceptance, everyone is doing their best to publish their research article, but acceptance is the most important thing. So this is the acceptance. These points should be taken into the account: the English, the presentation, revision, evaluate critically. So this is the thing which is used in the acceptance process. Now plagiarism. I must say that plagiarism is a thing in which you are using other person ideas, process, without giving them appropriate credit. Right? If I am using any kind of thing in my presentation, I must give the credit to that particular author or that particular person. So I'm not in a plagiarism kind of thing. So you have to understand that to avoid plagiarism, don't try to rewrite an author sentence. Just read a paragraph or read a page and write it in your language. So you would not get plagiarism more than that. Some kind of softwares in the for plagiarism is Ubuntu, Turnitin. You can go for Dig Silent Factory and all. So these are the softwares which are used in plagiarism corrections. And we have to understand that universities do have these softwares. So go and their licensed version. So one should have those licensed version for the thing, because on either on online you are not suggested to do this plagiarism check, because when you post your data online, that it can be used for the theft purpose, it can be used for any kind of misconduct. Yes, these are some points that nobody is going to tell you when you are doing your PhD. During your research work, you will definitely feel that, oh my god, I'm stuck, how I can do my PhD, I have stuck in my PhD work, it is taking so much time. So just don't do anything, learn every day. Learn every day with the even small things you have wish to learn, just learn them. There is always more. I have just told you before that research is an open-ended process, so there is always more. You are doing with your work and you are just reading through some of the thesis of your colleague. You just started thinking that he has or she has done more than me, he has involved so many literature. Don't go for that, and just stop and check your data collected. This will be more beneficial for you to have more and more in your thesis. Don't go for open-ended research. Stop somewhere, make your limit your genus. I have no motivation. Many times, every one of us, every single person of us will feel in their research that I'm not having any kind of motivation to do this, why I'm doing this, and all these things. So just don't go for it. When you are lacking motivation, have some movie, have some coffee, go for a walk, exercise, and just do small thing in your thesis daily. Don't skip a single day without doing anything. Just small steps make you feel accomplished, and when accomplishment feels, your serotonin in your mind increases and you will feel more motivated to do your work. I forgot what I did. When you are going to put after so many days your thesis or your work or research, so you can just be forgetful that what I have done before. So don't try to have all in one plate. Just do it day by day. Is it relevant? When you are doing and when you are on chapter 3rd or 4th, you are just thinking, oh God, whether it is relevant or not, whether I have selected the right topic or not. So just do some mental analysis with your advisors, with your friends, with your colleagues, and find it whether it is relevant or not. And what is the rightest way to do? I must suggest that please make a circle of the researchers on various platforms and do ask them that I'm doing this and this, can you help me? Can you suggest me what to do and what to not? Thank you so much to all for the patience hearing, and I just wish the good luck. And thanks again to Ratinam College and my family who supported in me, who believed in me. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much for this wonderful session, ma'am. So all the participants got some more knowledge about their research works. Okay. So I think it will be more helpful for their upcoming research. And also, I accept this one
Sure.
of 1.5 hours not enough to cover all the areas in that research. So for sure, we'll organize a research workshop for needed people soon. And thank you very much once again for Dr. Shivani Johri ma'am for sharing her experience in their research. And also I thank all the participants who are patiently listened to this workshop. And regarding that feedback link, I've shared this feedback link in your chat box. You just fill it up. Okay, so you just fill it up. After you submitted your feedback, you'll receive your certificates. And thank you very much once again. So I think it's time to wind up. Thank you, ma'am. I think it's time to wind up.
Pleasure is all mine.
Yeah, sure. So I think it's time to wind up. Thank you for all the participants. We'll meet you in another wonderful session. Thank you very much.